What's up, everybody? This is the Living Off Borrowed Time podcast, worst intros in the game. I am your host, Patrick McGovern, joined as always by my co-host, Caleb, OptimalAudio. And we have a guest who I was going to make do something very stupid and confusing that would have probably been lost on the audience and was apparently lost on everybody in the not studio. Travis.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing today?
Good. You were actually
probably shit.
Probably our most recurring guest I was thinking of at this point.
I don't know what you guys have been doing since, the last one, but it does seem that way, right? It's fine though, man. I love being here, so thanks for having me back.
Oh, you've been on we've done several year-end ones. Like you did 2 year-end ones with us, right?
2 year-end ones, a long-lost Kanye episode. Every time I show up here, we talk about pop music, and it's going to happen again today, which I think is very interesting.
Logic episode. You read from Logic's book, and it's a shame that got lost to time.
That was on the Kendrick episode.
It was a year-end. Oh, I thought that was in the year-end episode. Because we were picking worst albums for the year.
That probably was. It shows the memory that I'm trying to piece together here.
The Kendrick episode should actually be. I forget if I sent that to Kit and Puke to post or not, but that'll be up soon. So that's one of your previous episodes that listeners can enjoy if they would like to hear something you've done in the past that hasn't been lost due to gross incompetence from the person running the show. Anyway, this week we're going to be talking about, it's another 2-part episode. We're going to start by talking about Carly Rae Jepsen, who dropped another one of our favorite albums this year with Dedicated Side B. She had a pretty short career, so we're going to do a short overview of her discography, of which I know about 75% of and have pretty much nothing but positive things to say about. And then we're going to talk about something that we haven't had a chance to enjoy lately, which is live music. For obvious reasons, we haven't had a chance to be communally together enjoying live music, so we're going to share our own experiences with live music, what we miss about it, what we hate about it, and who we would hope to see again when and if we have the opportunity to do so.
So, yeah, sounds like a plan. Because this time has been horribly shitty, and if hopefully and when live music ever comes back, which it needs to for the sake of listeners and especially the artists, it's a pretty essential form of expression, and I think it's a better way to consume an album in some cases. And I'm sure you guys can speak to that yourselves.
It's also a good way to get laid, That's important. You got to keep the human race going. So that's great. I don't know what these artists are doing, fueled by groupies now. They're just supposed to be on the internet like the rest of us.
There's incredibly horny DMs going around, man.
I forget which rock star it was, but there is a great video. I want to say it's Paul Stanley from Kiss, but it's like some 80s rock star put out like an Instagram video or something, basically talking about how hard this has been for him because he's really fucking horny and he can't go on tour and he can't fuck. This is hitting him especially hard.
Paul, yeah. We feel you, man. We feel you.
People are protesting the just utter corruptness and disgrace of a country that we live in right now. And, but it's really in the middle of a global pandemic. But, hey, it's really hard for rock stars that can't fuck, man. You hate to see it.
You got to think about Gene Simmons right now. He's really struggling.
Yeah, how's he going to sell some of this shit? The supply lines of all the Kiss merchandise they're getting very strained. And, the meat packing plants from which we get our Kiss flank steaks, it's looking bleak.
I mean, the Kiss restaurants had to close down, obviously. There are Kiss COVID masks out there. COVID spelled with a K. Copyrighted, spelled with a K. But
that's a disease in and of itself, Kiss,
But
it can't spread the way it used to.
But speaking of Kiss, a better kind of Kiss. I
don't think I've laughed that hard on this pod in a while. That's a good one. Thank you. You say you had the worst intros, but that was great.
Worst intros, best transitions.
Best transitions in the game. But be careful how you talk about Kiss in this context, because some people might want to Might take that a different way. Oh god.
Yeah, I know this album. I'll let you guys talk. I mean, okay, is this the one with "Call Me Maybe" on it?
Yeah.
I did not.
Track 3, so you got to get through a couple to get to that point.
I mean, I did not hate "Call Me Maybe" at the time. I thought at the very first time I heard the chorus, I was just like, "Is this a parody song or not?" But I thought it was. That was my initial reaction to it. Then, of course, it was everywhere for about a year, 2 years, and it's just a well-made, disposable pop song that I had. It's childish. It's fine. I don't love or hate it. Like, her later career has not made me reevaluate it. Let me look at the track list. Nothing else on this. Like, she had no follow-up singles that were even remotely successful off this, right?
Good Time.
Yeah, the Owl City track was.
It's always a good time. That's
that one.
Fuck that song. That song sucks. That's her worst song. I haven't heard the Fuller House theme song, but I can say unequivocally, "Good Time" sucks. I hate that song.
Well, here's the problem with Good Time, and it's like, okay, is Owl City Canadian? Because I know no.
That Owl City song?
He's from Minnesota. Okay, Owl City's from Minnesota, so he's basically Canadian, all right? So we got Bieber on here.
We do.
We have Bieber, and we got a Minnesotan, God rest the people of Minnesota right now, and it's basically Canadian. So we have Carly, Canadian, and we have the most generic production known to man, coming off of Canadian Idol, because that's where she came from. So we have a lot of standard issue production on this album. And by standard issue, I mean standard issue from like 2003. So this is some pretty shit production, man. I think my favorite song on here for sounding old as shit is "Your Heart Is a Muscle," which sounds like a Michelle Branch song. It's incredible, man. It's got the Vanessa Carlton piano. It's got that guitar, man. And it's just like the lyrics are the most cliche shit on the planet. And it's amazing. It's apparently it's produced by a guy named Gad, who doesn't have a wiki page. Most of these people don't have wiki pages.
Maybe it's Josh Gad.
They might not be real people, some of them. They might be like computer algorithms. It's pretty incredible.
Scooter Braun executive produced this?
Oh, no.
No, because this is when they were trying to make Carly Rae a thing. They had Bieber in her in her videos and shit, right? This was around that time. Also, I just want to say the song before "Call Me Maybe," I think it's a really good song, and it's produced by the guy from LMFAO.
Yo, it is.
Yes.
Oh, great! Wow.
That's a really good song. I like that.
Guys, the production on this is so scatterbrained. They didn't even fucking bother on Wiki. It just says various. I've never seen that before. It's just fuck it.
There's one Max Martin credit, and it's one of the best songs on the whole thing. It's the "Tonight I'm Getting Over You" track,
which is the most Carly Rae Jepsen song title ever.
Yeah.
The only one on here that really sounds, "More Than a Memory" kind of sounds like a Carly song title, but other than that, these don't sound. This doesn't look or sound like in terms of the song titles like a Carly album.
No, and it's funny. A Tiny Little Bows has a Sam Cooke sample in it, which is fairly clever. The start of this album is pretty good, actually. And then around track, like a lot of pop albums, around track 4 or 5, it starts going to hell. With "Good Time" being like the third or fourth circle of hell. And really a problem with that song to me isn't just that it sounds like it's from 2010, 2009, honestly. This is a 2012 album, but it sounds like it's actually from 2009. It's just Owl City must have the least charismatic voice on the planet.
I knew he was on this album because Caleb told me so, but I did not know he was on that song. I know that song because I've been exposed to it. It's like the coronavirus. I've been exposed to it. I've not been exposed to the coronavirus, by the way. No.
I'm not worried about catching it from here, man. You're fine.
But I would worry about being exposed to hearing an Owl City song almost as much as catching it. So,
I think almost anyone who listens to this pod could come onto that song and bring more sex appeal and excitement than Owl City does. You don't even have to try. It is always a good time. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Like fucking dentist office music when he comes in.
He sounds like trying to do a sex jam.
But that's the thing in that song, because the song's obviously is pretty transparent. It's just about going out, having a good time, whatever. Carly, I will maintain that she sounds good on that song because she sounds good on most things. So
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Owl City, Owl City coming in is like you're doing the fucking like the worm at a dentist's office or something. Like it's just the most white thing ever.
It's also a problem with this. She's saddled with some terrible fucking lyrics. And I know that Carly's not known for her lyricism, all right? A lot of pop artists aren't. They're good, though, because they communicate human feeling and experiences. But, like, Jesus, some of these lyrics are just fucking awful. Like, just the most generic stuff. Like, on Curiosity, I was listening to the album yesterday. Got to track 4. Things are going fine. And then there's, like, a part of Curiosity where she's just, like, singing about how much she needs this guy and how she's like going to follow him to the ends of the earth and just how much like her heart is breaking and she's like walking through the rain like it's a fucking Mandy Moore movie.
Right.
It's fucking horrible, man. Like there's so much like independence and strength in a lot of these newer Carly songs, but here it's like, man, I'm just I'm just your little bitch, you know, and I'm going to follow you around and cry and please love me. And it's like, oh, fuck, man. It's because they didn't know what to do with her. What was she, like 30 or something when this album came out, too? Like, it's just not 30. She was like probably 27.
She was 27, yeah.
She's 27,
or
which
20,
is
26, yeah.
that weirded people out when Calling Maybe came out. I know my wife when she heard Calling Maybe the first time, she's like, she's got to be like 20, right? And she was a fairly experienced writer, and this was the material that she got saddled with at the beginning. And it's now, of course, we know how talented she is, and you can combine all these different qualities and all these different producers and writers, and you end up with this incredible work. But here, she's just saddled with like generic Canadian Idol producers and Red Foo, and so we end up with this weird, kind of really sappy. And I mean, the cover kind of sums it up. The cover sucks. The haircut sucks. I'm sorry, Carly. They didn't know what to do with her, and it's a waste because really vocally she's very good. A little timid on this album, a little timid, and I think part of that has to do with the material. She's not quite sure what to do with it either. Like on Tiny Little Bows, she would dive in more later, and like now it's like she's still kind of waiting in the shallow end of the pool a little bit. So and then it moves on too much.
I think is interesting that, like, I think just by virtue of being a Carly Rae Jepsen album, it's barely over a 3. I think that people are seeing more in it than there is.
I gave it a 3 for what it's worth.
Yeah, the songs I like on this, I really like, actually. I remember, I gave it a 3.5, which might be generous. I don't know. I haven't heard it in a while, but I have memories of at least half these songs. So I remember liking the best stuff on here. The good time, the Owl City, we don't need that, but the bonus tracks, right? That's what it was. I remember the bonus tracks being really good.
I have not heard them. I have not heard those. And now I'm on Genius right now, and I'm seeing that there's all this other shit I need to listen to. There really was. There was not a Kiss side B.
No.
If there were, it would have been really bad.
No, there's a couple bonus tracks. Drive is really good. You guys should listen to that. That's a song that I would recommend from the bonus tracks.
I know you have a girlfriend. Wow.
Yeah.
Spicy.
That reminds me of that Avril Lavigne song that I hate. Also, like, aren't there like 7 Ariana Grande songs?
Yeah, there's an Ariana Grande song on her last album that has a similar sort of angle. Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Guitar String Wedding Ring for having the most strained metaphor on Earth.
Weird. That was like my second least favorite song on the album.
I would wear it. This is the real thing, wrapped around my finger. You know what I mean? You play my heartstrings. I just love it goes in later and tells you what I mean.
Oh, Carly, that's
Carly. We always say like her material. A lot of her material is very earnest, and that's part of the charm, I think.
Oh yeah,
we're coming with her music, but on certain parts of this album, it can be too earnest. Clearly. Yeah.
It was hard to get people to listen to Emotion. That's the fact. That's the fact. I had to explain to people that this was going to be a great album and that you should all care.
It was hard to get me to listen to Emotion. But
It was. You were way behind.
When I heard Runaway With, when I finally fucking gave in and listened to Runaway With Me, from the first second, I knew I was going to love the album. Why is the art for Emotion on RYM, the main art, have kanji on the side?
Because it's the Japanese issue is the primary.
Why?
It came out in Japan first.
Yes, with all the extra tracks.
Right.
So the album is apparently over an hour long or something now, which I think is really funny. A pedantic argument that we have in comment boxes.
That's the only version I've ever heard. Love Again, where I cut it off normally. I don't listen to the I Really Like You remix. But Love Again's the last. I always thought Love Again was the end of the album.
What I needed you is where I always cut it off. But I'm a busy man, you know. I'm being unemployed. I had so much going on. No, but I have other Carly to listen to now.
If you cut it off at When I Need You, you would have missed one of the best songs, which is I Didn't Just Come Here to Dance. So
I also really like Love Again. I think those are two of the best songs. And I don't think there's anything bad on that last part of it. I think they're all good, very good songs.
Oh yeah. Favorite Color is a good song. Yeah, Blackheart's good. Those are all good.
You know what are three of the best songs ever made? The first 3 songs on this album.
The first 12 songs on this album. No, I have a playlist on Spotify called Emotion 2 where I took side B and mixed it with the extra tracks at the end of the album and then made a track listing out of that. And I listen to that sometimes. And it's as long as the main album. So now I have that and dedicated side B, and they're the same length. That's like 2 extra albums.
No, that is good. I gotta say though, when it comes to Emotion, like obviously Runaway With Me, I'm sure we could all talk about that. But I will say that like the run in the middle though, you can't skimp out on the Boy Problems, Making the Most of the Night, Your Type, Run, LA Hallucinations is in there, Warm Blood's in there. Like you could just run this whole track list, honestly. Like once you start getting into like runs.
I don't know why I don't have this album as a 5. I don't know.
I've had it a 5 for a couple of years. It's just
I'll get there.
I have an 8. It should be a 9. I can't put it at a 10 just because I do skip the middle. I skipped from Gimme Love to LA Hallucinations. I know I'm skipping really great songs, but those are like my favorite songs are those first 4, and then LA Hallucinations, Warm Blood, When I Needed You is, especially Warm Blood, by the way, which doesn't get enough. Like that's probably the most art poppy thing on here. I know people argue forever annoyingly about whether or not Carly makes art pop which she doesn't really, but that song is kind of.
Well, Warm Blood led into Dedicated, I think. I mean, I think that's the closest to that sound that she got on this album. It's a very lush song.
You could say All of That too.
That is all that and Warm Blood. And if you told me ahead of time, and Give Me Love to an extent, I think too. I think if you told me that that's where things were headed, I would have been fine with that. Although my favorites are earlier in the album. Well, that's not really true. I think the chorus of Making the Most of the Night is one of the best things on the whole album. It's like a fucking cannon. It's amazing. That chorus
explodes with life. Like you need that. Same thing with Boy Problems too. That chorus is.
Boy Problems is the gayest song on her discography, and I absolutely love it. I don't know that that's a queer anthem, but if it isn't, and I know that she has an enormous LGBT fan base, I know because I've seen her in concert. That ought to be the one. And I love Boy Problems. Boy Problems is such a treat, and it's such really an old school lyric in a lot of ways, but a little bit more modern. It's wonderful. But yeah, I mean, my favorites are the first 2 because I'm a simple man. I still pleasures. They're perfect. They're fucking perfect, and you can't beat those.
Is Emotion? I mean, I guess this could be seen as like inherently reductive, just comparing pop artists. But is Emotion like the best Madonna song she never wrote?
Yeah, it's the best Madonna song from 1983, like brought into 2015.
Like that just sounds like. That sounds like it could be like
Borderline or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky Star. Yeah.
Borderline for sure. Like 100%. Runaway with Me. I can't figure out who Runaway sounds with me, aside from it sounds like Carly, obviously. The sax solo in that is probably
M83 kind of, I think. I get some of that. Listen to that Midnight City vibe
Yeah.
from that. Runaway with Me is now one of her most well-known songs, but I always love running into people in the wild who know that song. Because it's a very internet thing, at this point, which is weird. Because before it was like she was a product of the world, and now, of course, Carly's become like not underground, but yeah, honestly. I did Runaway with Me at karaoke once, and I ended up being followed around by this couple like the rest of the night. Like they were buying me beers all night, and it was wonderful. They're like, if someone else knows Carly and they know this song by Carly, they must know music. So they fed me all night, and it was great. So I love running into Carly fans in the wild, especially the newer stuff, because I know they have taste, and that should be her biggest song, and it is not.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you run into anybody who 90% of people, 99% of people actually know her as the Call Me Maybe person. Like, it's that 1% of music nerds that would know her for this song as her most famous song. Like, and there's a reason it leads off the album. I think it has I'm trying to think of a better use of the saxophone in a pop song ever. I can't. That is the perfect. There's literally not a single second of this song that is not a hook, which is incredible. Chorus is, when I hear it, yet it's not my favorite Carly song. My favorite Carly song is on the next album, and debatably one on dedicated side B that I've been arguing with people with ever since. And I'm sure if you've talked to me in the past week, you know what song I'm talking about. But it's like top 3 Carly songs for me. But it should be her most well-known song because I think it's her most perfectly constructed song. And then it's followed by a song that fights for that title, the title track. And I think I Really Like You was a song that took a little bit to grow on me because it's probably the most sugary song on here, I think. It's kind of insistent. Like, the hook could be annoying on the wrong day, in the wrong mood.
It's amazing. I'll fight for that song every time.
It did.
It's perfectly constructed. It's such a good pop song. And it's weird because it kind of was trying to be a meme. It didn't really take off. But it was a good lead single, I think. Even if it's mildly misleading, it kind of gives you the Kiss vibe a little bit just because it's so actively inane. But it knows it is. Like, it's sassy about it. And I think, like, that comes out, like, When I Needed You has, like, strength about it. It slaps the band in the face a little bit, as does Emotion. Like, you can sense growth in the writing here. Just the lyrics, not even the song quality, obviously, but the lyricism, too. You can really get a better sense of her personality on this record, and I think that makes a big difference.
And I just want to, I think adding to that is, like, how great is her vocals? Because I think Let's Get Lost and LA Hallucinations are really underrated. I mean, as underrated as something can be on this album. Like, those 2 songs are so great. Like, LA Hallucinations, especially that hook, like, just, I can't even describe her vocal, but it's so nice. And it's, like, just paired with that sort of, like, punchier production. I didn't anticipate that. And then I think it's a nice lead into Warm Blood.
That hook, the ending, I guess, of Your Type, when she's just like, I'll make time for you, and she goes way up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is such a just awesome vocal moment. And that chorus for Your Type just fucking packs a punch. That is something that was not on the debut. There just wasn't that kind of push in her vocals. And Your Type actually is, I think, one of the bigger songs on here. I heard Your Type at the gym once, which I thought was pretty funny.
You're doing squats and you're crying.
Yeah, well, shout out the LGBT crew at LA Fitness. I remember hearing something from After Laughter too, Paramore, that day.
That is great.
Whoever was running the playlist that day, give them a raise, because
you're hearing like "Told You So" while you're lifting weights. you're singing it to yourself like in the mirror while you're lifting.
I'm glad you mentioned LA Hallucinations because that was one of the first songs to really connect with me outside of the really obvious ones. I guess that was one of the deep cuts to really connect. I really loved the production on that. I even loved the clumsy ass lyric about BuzzFeed buzzards and TMZ crows because it kind of had like a personal touch to it. Like no one wrote this shit for her. Like she actually wrote that. and like I think the rest of the lyrics in the song are actually good. Like that lyric's just clumsy. I really like the part on the bridge where the "Would you let me go?" Like there's so many great vocal parts like that on the album.
Yeah.
I think that this album is probably more. It's not as tightly constructed overall as Dedicated would be. I think Dedicated is more finely honed, and you could say that almost at side B too, I guess. Because well, again, you have to keep in mind that I'm coming to this from the mindset of always thinking this was a 17 tracks and a bonus album. I never thought of this as a 12-track album.
Yeah, the U.S. version is.
But the non-US version is 17, and I listened 1 to 17 honestly. So I'm kind of like when it came out, I just listened to it 1 to 12. But to me, I think the bonus tracks are so essential. Like I Didn't Just Come Here to Dance is one of my favorite Carly songs. It might have, I mean, it's not like anything insane. The hook isn't anything like, mind blowing like Run Away With Me is, but just the way it breaks down into that like kind of like late 90s like house groove is, or like maybe even well early 2010s like deep house groove a la like a Disclosure or something. Like that's kind of what it sounds like, and it sounds fucking great.
Did we talk about all that? Because Jesus, that is a song to sing into your hairbrush in the mirror, man. Like that's just one of those Britney Spears ass like, but so good, and just it's so sultry, but
Yeah,
it's really sugary too. I love it. I love that song.
that she named it after a 90s Nickelodeon show because I feel like that's kind of the fan base that she's going
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
with stuff is just like 90s sort of pop, or like I mean, well, what's more 80s type of pop with her, and she seems to keep going back in time because when on Dedicated she gets more into disco, and side B seems to imply like more Dedicated side B seems to imply more like 70s funk and stuff even. So like she seems to keep going back in time with like her pop influences. Like there's a lot more 80s stuff on here, and then am I alone?
That was a weird thing about Kiss, like with that Sam Cooke sample. Like, it was like she was trying for like a 60s thing in spots. Some of those lyrics kind of give me like Supremes vibes too. Um, and then she like jumped way to the fucking 80s and 90s. And then she went back a little bit. You know what actually Dedicated kind of, well, I guess we can move on to Dedicated, do you think?
Was that
Well,
We got side B, that's right.
yeah, side B, which is almost as good as the A side. That's how great it is.
Let me see what's on side B. I
Side,
haven't heard everyone.
Side B has
wait, what's the Curiosity EP? Do we even need to mention that or not?
it has some of the songs from Kiss and then some other other tracks. It's decent. Like Call Me Maybe. The first three
cover for Kiss, still a pretty bad cover.
the first three tracks are good. The other three tracks are like fine. Like it's fine.
Boy, she really leveled up her album art.
She did.
Lucy's review on this is amazing.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's funny.
I want to give that a like. Put that up to 56. So yeah, on to side B, Emotion side B.
Cry is the best. Cry's perfect. Cry should have been on the main album and would have been top 5. I love that song. That is perfect.
We're not going to just lead off with First Time here. Come on.
First Time and Fever are my two favorites on here by far. First Time hit me upside the head so hard.
Yeah, that track's amazing.
Cry and Roses are my favorite. And yeah, and Store is fucking hilarious. Store is a great lyric. I saw that one when I saw her. I saw that one live. That one went off 10 times more because I think people were just so excited to hear that random ass song from side B, and it was like it's weird. It's a weird lyric, but it's very personal and it's very corny and great, and it's like 2 songs pasted together and they're both good. I love that song. But yeah, First Time is great. These are the most generic song titles of her career, so I'm trying to remember some of these.
That's the problem with it. It's like, yeah, like I like the thing all the way through. I generally listen to it all the way through. I feel like it peaks. I feel like the first half is superior to the second half. I do remember Store, yeah, because obviously the lyric is memorable.
Cry. Don't sleep on it. Great song.
Roses is a good closer. Like it's very good. Like it's under a half hour. It's a great companion piece. I'm not on the team that says this is better than the parent album, but I think it's still really good and essential listening if you're a fan of hers.
Yeah, I think it's pretty excellent. I think it's like I don't think it's as good as the original. I mean, the original to me is 5 stars. You know, it's got endless replayability, but this one for only 27 minutes, and there's some of her best songs are on this. I think, like First Time, like Fever, like Roses. Those are my top 3, and Cry. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But like, there's a lot of merit to this album, and I feel like people should definitely give this a listen. If you're a fan of Carly, you've already listened to this anyway, so you know we're kind of just preaching to the choir at this point.
There's a version with "Cut to the Feeling" on it, apparently, which is another fucking classic.
Oh, that I would say is how to listen to this, and I guess an excuse to talk about "Cut to the Feeling," which is a perfect song, just as good as the classics from Emotion, and we need an excuse to talk about it because it's not on any proper album. Which is a nice throwback, I guess, to the times when you could just have a single that existed as a single. Although I guess Childish Gambino did that with "This Is America." Didn't he? That was never on an album.
No, not yet.
No,
Not yet. He hasn't gotten that desperate yet. Maybe someday.
I don't know. He's pretty pretentious. I could see him I could see the point of that having been the SNL performance in the video, not actually putting it on an album. But yeah, "Cut to the Feeling," which was also, I think I actually heard that. It depends on, I'm trying to remember if that came out before I was into her or not. Because I think I may have heard that in the wild, because my wife watches a lot of terrible reality TV. And it was the theme song to, I believe, some show called Siesta Key.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I heard that and I was like, this isn't bad. I wonder who this is. Is this some old song? And I did not know it was Carly. I think this was before I heard "Run Away with Me." So, but yeah, that's another absolutely perfect, and like that might as well be her mission statement, and like it's a mission statement song, and like the same way "Guided by Voices" has like "Keep it in motion, keep it in motion, keep it in line." Like her songs are all about cutting to the feeling, both in terms of lyrics and like the big choruses, the fact that any one part could be a hook. Like she did this one interview, I think, with like the Japanese, like some Japanese radio station. The Japanese seem to really appreciate her a hell of a lot more than we do for some weird reason. And she talked about how like, yeah, all I do is write catchy songs about being in love, and "Cut to the Feeling" is it cuts to the feeling. Like that and "Emotion," I think, are probably her 2 like definitive statement songs.
I'm happy to say that "Cut to the Feeling" is one of her biggest songs. I've experienced that. A lot of people love that song, and it always surprises me. Like I'll see people say, "Oh, that's her absolute favorite." Like in the comment box for that song, a lot of people think that's one of the absolute best things she ever did. I know that my wife heard it, and she likes Carly, but she's not like a huge fan. But she listens to everything she puts out. But she worked on the material, like the promo material for the movie that song came from, which was this animated film called Leap that was Canadian. And so she heard the song before it was even out, really. And when it got around to me, I was like, well, why the hell isn't this on the album? And then, of course, it got attached with side B, and the rest is history. I would say it's probably one of her best known songs, which is a great thing. And I would much rather her be known for that than "Call Me Maybe," which I never said anything about, but I do love "Call Me Maybe" as well, for what it is.
The thing about it is, it's not a bad song by any means, but it's never going to be seen as anything other than an annoying novelty song to so many people. And you can't make that song, be known for that song, and not be seen by people as a one-hit artist.
There's a version of that I can never find. It's been erased from the internet, but it has Harvey Keitel reading lyrics from the album with Carly on stage, and it was for like a charity event, and I can never fucking find it. It was the funniest shit. It's like they scrubbed off the internet.
That sounds amazing. When you said Harvey, at first I thought you were going to say Harvey Weinstein, and that would have been less amazing. But
no, that's not going to happen. Not for a long time.
Hopefully. Yeah, as far to scrub that image from your mind, I would say that out of this one, "First Time" and "Fever" are the top, or be my top 10 Carly songs. Everything on it's good, even "Store," which gets hated on. I can deal with it. Although it's probably my least favorite song on the album, on the EP. Yeah, and obviously if there's a version with Cut to the Feeling on it, you shouldn't own any other version. So, and that would be my favorite song on here. I never thought of it. Much like I never thought of anything other than the long version of Emotion, I never thought of this as having Cut to the Feeling on it. And now it seems stupid to have ever not had that version. Oh. Do you want to move on to Dedicated?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was the lead single for this one? It's Party for One, right?
It was Party for One, and I remember people not being crazy about it. And I liked it, not loved it. I grew to love it. It was always a charming little song, but it wasn't like a big instant classic song like the Emotion singles were.
And then she dropped No Drug Like Me, and then she dropped Julian.
Yes, on the same single, same day.
No, was it the same day?
Yeah, they're a double A side.
No, yeah. Not that I Found You and Want You in My Room were before Julian, I thought.
Yeah, no, you're right, Patrick. They were.
No, you're right. Julian was later.
Julian was like a couple weeks before the album dropped.
Yes. Yeah. So the double A side was Now That I Found You and No Drug Like Me.
I heard No Drug Like Me, and I was like, all right, I'm sold. Like I was like, I have no worries about this album once I heard that one.
That was Julian for me. No Drug Like Me, I didn't really truly love until I heard it on the album. Where now I think it's perfect. Now That I Found You is the only one I don't really love on the album. I never grew to love. It's got its Yeah, I mean, it's got its really charming parts. I really like the "Don't Give It Up," and there are parts of it that I like. The parts that I like actually kind of remind me of Paramore songs that I like, oddly enough. But it's the least perfect song on the album. Like there are parts of it that I almost feel like filler. I would take the parts on the back third that people seem to think are skip songs over this song anytime.
I never will understand why people don't love that song. That should be bolded hard. As a 5. Those two songs together are 5, and that immediately got me excited for the album. Those and Julian, I was actually really disappointed that those were the first 3 songs on the album because I was like, I want to at least like build up to those. But they're the first 3 songs on the album, and they're all my faverites. They're amazing.
Julian's got to be the intro though. It
does. Yeah, it does.
Julian is fucking remarkable.
We talk about favorite Carly Rae songs. Julian is in my top 3 for sure.
Those just ominous synths, to start, this swishing all over the place. Yeah. It's such a wonderful start to the album. It's moody, it's sexy. It's such a different vibe from Emotion, which is very girlish and very sweet, but in a stronger way than Kiss. But then it's just you enter with Julian, and it's just a completely different, sophisticated, and intense vibe, and I love it. And then of course, it goes into No Drug Like Me, which is completely different from anything she's ever done production-wise. And they're both simmering with moments where they blow up. And that's something that she pulls off very well on Dedicated, is reining herself in. Mm-hmm. And it's so big there.
I'm glad you mentioned the production, because the production changes she takes. I mean, I could talk about Julian forever, by the way, just because, like, that song is one of my favorite songs ever, any artist, any genre. Is like, it's sophisticated is a great word to describe it, but it's also just burstingly fucking happy. It's jubilant. It's like, I actually played it for my wife when I was obsessed with this album, and she's like, first of all, she was shocked that I listened to this kind of music. Like, she was like,
I didn't know you live this life. What are you doing when I'm not around?
Right.
Do this. And then she was like, I almost might be too happy for me. Like, I think she was just stunned that I listened to something that happy. But it does sound, it's just like jubilant. It makes me happy whenever it comes on. And that's like the perfect like way to start the album. It's just like an endorphin rush to the brain. But I'm glad you mentioned the production too, because she takes some serious production chances on this album. No Drug Like Me, obviously. Everything He Needs. There's like some vocal production stuff on there. I'll Be Your Girl. The drums on that. The way that song is constructed. Everything He Needs kind of reminds me of some of the stuff Kanye was doing on Graduation, actually. A few of the stuff with the vocals, like the vocal mixing on this kind of reminds me of that, actually.
Everything He Needs is insanely good. That song is wild. I was so taken aback by hearing like a really sensual like Carly Rae song. Like, just because we hadn't really truly been like Travis said, it was just a different vibe from her previous work. And at that point, I'm like, okay, so we're going into this direction. We're really leaning into like the synth funk, like disco kind of like electro disco kind of like vibe. And you heard the first few songs, but just it kind of gave me a feel of most of the album's gonna be like this. Like this is interesting.
And now that I found you as like a life raft for people who were listening to Emotion and only Emotion
Yeah,
and needed that one song that was like, yes, I have this really obvious punch in the face pop banger. That's great. And I thought that was genius to package those two songs together because they really captured that two sides of what she was trying to do. There really aren't as many. When I first listened to this album, I was just running all over the room. I was so excited because I'm like, oh, she fucking did it again. I'm so happy. But at the same time, as the album sort of winded down, I was like, wow, there's a lot of really slow ones on this. There's a lot
yeah,
of slow burners, right? Especially when you get to like Too Much and the sound. It's like, wow, she's really slowing this one down. And so I was very happy to have songs like that as well that were very alive. Real Love, for example, is a really great example of both sides becoming one song where you have a very slow burn and then this incredibly jubilant and powerful chorus that the song is so well arranged because it just slowly builds to that point. And then all-time classic Carly chorus. And that is just a great example of what this album does is it's very spare compared to her previous work. But still is her.
I would say "Runaway with." I'm gonna drop probably the hottest take on the podcast. "Runaway with Me" is the best Carly song. "Too Much" is my favorite Carly song.
Woo!
And when that song hit, yeah, I remember she did an interview and she talked about her best songs. She said "Too Much" was her best song. People were like, "Oh, she's just promoting the album." And I thought that at first. I think when I originally came out, I gave it a 3.5. When it hit, that is my favorite song she's ever made, and one of my favorite songs ever. That is a perfect song in every way, shape, and form. And I think the run from "I'll Be Your Girl" through to "The Sound" is the best run on the album, and the best run of music she's ever made.
Wow, big heavy statements there.
I wish I liked the second half as much. Oh well.
The transitions are fucking amazing on there. Like, seriously.
No, "I'll Be Your Girl" is an amazing song. I will definitely co-sign that.
Oh my god, it's such a creative instrumental for her. It's really cool.
I love the sound too. I think the only song that I it's not that I don't like, I still really like it, but I think "Feels Right" is just a song that I don't like scramble to play, but that's not really saying anything. It's a perfectly good song. Like there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not criticizing it in any way. It's just like it's a song that on the back half I'd like, if I had to skip one track, that would be the one track.
I would skip Right Words Wrong Time, I think.
I like that song.
I do.
Feels Right is something about "Feels Right" feels a little dated to me, actually, and I feel that it's the one track where they kind of overdose on the multi-track vocals. Like there's a lot going on. I mean, maybe it's because they have the feature, or maybe I'm thinking, but it's actually the feature, and it's just like there's too much. I think there's almost too much going on. It's fine. I never skip it, but I would never skip to it either. So yeah, if I had to lose one track, that would be it. I'm guessing "Party for One" was included as a bonus because the primary issue on YM doesn't have it, but my issue absolutely does. And it feels like, it doesn't really, it feels like it came from a separate sessions than this. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a piece with the album, but I'm happy to have it on there. "Real Love" definitely feels like the conclusion of the album. One of the best Carly choruses ever. Just fucking soaring. Great use of the lyrics on this album, I think, deserve mention in that what you said earlier about her lyrics, like they get slandered a lot of times for being corny or overly simplistic or whatever. But I feel like they're great lyrics for the reason you said is that they express genuine human emotions in a universally relatable way. And they feel genuine. No, go ahead.
I cut you off twice there. It's not like you said. It's super fucking genuine, and there aren't that many artists that can, for lack of a better term, like get away with that because it can seem cloying, I guess. Just because, especially us, like a lot of times we can be pretty cynical when we listen to music. So for an artist like Carly who just is like, hey, like I'm just gonna put everything and just be really upfront, and for her to just be so charismatic and genuine, and while being like kind of subtly insightful at points on this album, like her whole persona, I think, and everything about her makes it very easy to buy what she's saying without it seeming like, the stuff that on Kiss that we didn't like,
Yeah. I just I like this better than Emotion. I don't know if that's a popular opinion or not. I think it's her best album. Again, I don't think I have popular opinions about Carly. Like I don't think most people would say that run on this album is her best run of music or that Too Much is her best song, but I think that's just where it hits me the most. But I think it says something about her as an artist that people would pick any number of songs or runs on her albums as that peak for them because she's that consistent. She's that good at expressing those emotions. That's what she called her album Emotion, and just bringing that out of people and just like creating, and most importantly, just creating catchy fucking music that is both like very heavily influenced by the past, but it's not like cover band shit. It's not like fucking Greta Van Fleet or something, just doing essentially like complete imitation of the past. Like it doesn't feel stale. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't feel like a retread, but it couldn't exist without like Madonna or obvious influences.
Right, and I think that like I was trying to think of a comparison here. I think Emotion will, when her career is over, and hopefully not for a long time, but when her career is over, I think retroactively Emotion is going to be the one that I think a lot of music fans will say like, oh, that is the definitive Carly album. But I think there will be plenty of people that point to this album as like, hey, actually, this is the best one. I still prefer Emotion slightly, but I think this album I loved from the start, and it only grew on me when I listened to it again in recent months, and it was easily one of my top 3 or 4 albums of last year. I think it was probably my third or fourth favorite album last year.
I think
So
I had it at number 5. Yeah, it was. It's an album's album, man. Unlike Emotion, it really runs together very smoothly in terms of sequencing. Very smart. And a lot of good moves made in terms of mood and spacing and everything. It's really nice. Is there anything on here we didn't talk about? I don't think we mentioned "Want You in My Room," which is
Oh yeah,
a
fucking
great,
perfect.
yeah,
tremendous song. Just the chorus, another one of the greatest, like great choruses. Really, there's no chorus on here that doesn't hit me really hard. Um, in some way, like some took a little longer to grow on me than others. This was one of those for whatever reason, but like it's a grower album, I think. Like
Mm.
really, Julian was the only song to come out the gate and truly as I love it immediately as much now as I did. Like I immediately loved it at first. I'm phrasing this poorly, but you know what I mean. Whereas other songs I had to grow to, like even if there's nothing I disliked on first listen, it's songs to appreciate with time, which I feel is a little counter to how Emotion was. Emotion was more an album of immediate pleasures, and there's stuff about the way this album was put together that kind of shows that how much time was put into it, like the transitions, the way it was. It's just very thoughtfully crafted.
I mean, there's absolutely a reason why things slow down in the middle with Too Much, and then slowly pick up with Automatically in Love, and it's just very deliberate. And I think that's a really good sign of growth, and maybe we'll see something more like that in the future from her. She seems like a real pro. That's something that people don't appreciate about Carly. She's a pro. She's been writing for a long time, and she's very aware of what makes an album good and what makes a single good. And so I trust her. And the part of the problem with her early material is that she wasn't given an opportunity to run this stuff herself. So now we see what happens when she can man a project herself, and with the people she picked. And now it's really flowering.
Real quick, before we get to dedicated side B, there was a bootleg that was put out called "Through My Head" in 2019. I know it circulates on SoulSeek. I don't know where else you could find it. It's about 20 minutes long. I don't think any of this material ended up on dedicated side B. It's kind of low fidelity, but they're all good enough songs. I seem to recall 10,000 People, the intro being really good, and the title track being really good, and
Mm.
just worth finding. I haven't listened to it in quite a while, so I don't have anything. But I just want to get it out there that it exists, it circulates, and probably worth hearing because apparently she had an album called Sweat Disco that she finished that she is just sitting on. Like apparently she did a lot of stuff between Emotion and Dedicated that we haven't heard yet. So Dedicated side B might not be the end of it, and I would obviously welcome all of that. So just anybody else hear this one, or am I the only one who heard it?
I have not heard it. I didn't even know. To be honest with you, I didn't know it existed until you brought it up.
Yeah,
The
it's on
only
the RYM.
Yeah. I've heard songs from it, I think, because I know there were some singles that came out that weren't really singles, but they got released as singles for a second, and then probably they got removed from the database. That happens all the time. And I think I've heard some from that, and they were really intriguing. But the production was lacking the polish of Dedicated. That happens a lot with Carly leaks. They're really solid. You get her personality, but the production just isn't quite what you would expect. And so, that's why they were left off. There's a lot of polish in her work.
And we don't need to talk about the joke single she put out for Valentine's Day, right? I mean, it sucked, but unless, anybody has a different opinion on it.
I remember hearing it and it was like whatever. It didn't really register with me.
Yeah, it just sounded unfinished. It sounded like something she whipped together in an afternoon. Yeah.
All right, so moving on to Dedicated Side B, which is, I think, you could say the same thing you would say about Emotion Side B. She's ridiculously fucking consistent. It's about almost as good as, if not as good as, the Parent album. Kicks off amazing. This Love Isn't Crazy. Heartbeat is probably the too much of this album in that case, except for the fact that Too Much had to grow on me, whereas Heartbeat hit me literally like a fucking ton of bricks the first time I heard it. Mm-hmm. It's her best. I think it might be her best slow song, because I don't really think of Too Much as a slow song. Too Much is like almost like dance hall-y. It's like dance hall light sort of thing. Like, whereas Heartbeat is a straight up ballad, and she doesn't have too many straight up ballads, and she absolutely nails the shit out of that. There's more production chances on this one too. Like Now I Don't Hate California After All, which I think has absolutely gorgeous production that sounds like West Coast. I've never been to a West Coast beach. You have. It sounds like I think that West Coast waves lapping up on the shore sounds like.
I appreciated it.
And Come Back, big old stadium rock song like that, I think works better than it has any right to. Again, more lyricism that would probably sound clumsy coming out of somebody else, but she sells it really well. It kind of reminded me of like those early mid-2000s, like Linda Perry penned, like Kelly Clarkson empowerment, like breakup and recovery songs, but better than those because she's better than that. So.
I think to your point, there are songs in here that I loved almost as much as the best songs on Dedicated. Like Now I Don't Hate California is fucking awesome. That one really hit me on the first time. This Love Isn't Crazy, like you said. Stay Away hit me immediately, and then the Heartbeat and Summer Love 1-2 punch. Those are incredible. So Summer Love I think is probably my favorite just because that groove. Like that groove is so good, man. And like just the way she does that hook is just like it's just incredibly effective. So it'll have you singing it from the first time you've heard the song. You don't even know the rest of the words yet, but you'll know that. And that's what I love about the best Carly Rae songs, and Summer Love's definitely one of them.
Summer Love could be a Prince song.
Yeah.
Serious. I mean that in the highest praise possible. The transitions from Dedicated are kind of mirrored here in the way Felt This Way and Stay Away or feed into each other, are like mirror images lyrically and kind of just so smoothly transition into each other. Again, the way Heartbeat and Summer Love are kind of contrasting images, the slow song into the funky song. Just really well put together, especially for a B-sides album. This woman's fucking good at making music.
I think it's funny because the only song on here that I don't really like is the Comeback, which isn't like a bad song or anything. I think the Bleachers part is a little drab, and I've never been into Bleachers anyway. I mean, Jack Antonoff's good at like on other people's albums, I think. But
I think at this point, can we agree that her features on her albums are usually a little suspect?
Yeah,
the weakest songs.
Right. I don't really. I thought his part was a little drab, which is like I said, it's not a bad song by any means. And I wouldn't like skip it if it came on, but I don't reach for it. But I think Let's Sort the Whole Thing Out, which I know some people in the comment box like were like about. That's got to be to me like the best Kohl's commercial music sounding song like ever. Like that shit.
Oh man, I really wanted to buy a backpack, Yeah,
that shit sounds like fucking Jansport back to school music, man.
Yeah.
That slaps.
Like Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide shit.
I can smell the thick packs of stock.
Fucking Drake and Josh ass music, but it's great. It's really good.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you know Drake Bell's like or what's his yeah Drake Bell's like one of his singles has like a 3.6 or through it's like almost bolded. I fucking
Really?
yeah.
Oh my.
Drake and Josh theme has like a great score on there. Oh my god, shit's hilarious. You know that is a banger though. I'm not gonna lie. That's really dank of Carly to dig that deep into our collective subconsciouses and pull out the Drake and Josh theme. You know, my only issue with that song is the mixing. I think that's one of the tracks where you can see that there's like not quite as much polish. Like there's this weird gap in the chorus where like the editing's a little iffy, and like I could tell that was a B-side. Like I think if that had made it onto the album, they would have probably mixed it a little differently. But it's kind of funny because it's like an experimental piece for Carly because there's no other Carly song like this. With these guitars, it's like she's mixing like these weird vocal filters on the chorus, you know, with these guitars that are completely different from the rest of her discography, and it ends up being like this weird experimental moment on the album. There's nothing else like it, or in her discography. I don't know that I want her to go into the Coles game, you know, but it is fun. And that's kind of how I feel about a lot of this album is that it's kind of her trying on a lot of new styles that I don't think would have worked on Dedicated in terms of like the sophisticated, streamlined way that that album is so powerful as a unit. Like This Is What They Say, which we've not mentioned yet, is my favorite song.
That's a great song.
That's
It's
a great
so
song.
good, and the synth textures on there and the chord progression has kind of a Wham feel to it. Um, especially it's
That's
so
a-
good.
Song. I mean that in a good way. You guys set me down a rabbit hole. I didn't know Bleachers was Jack Antonoff, so I shouldn't listen. I mean, I like Comeback more than you guys. Apparently, I think.
No, I agree with you. Actually, I think Comeback's really good. I like it.
I think
All right. Well, I guess I'm alone in that it's my least favorite. I mean, it's still a good song, but I don't reach for it.
But I did not know Bleachers was Jack Antonoff. Should I? So their other stuff is
No, the albums suck. They're very bland. They're very bland.
Yeah, they're not. How do I say it? They're not like bad musically, but they're not good. They're just like it's just music that is.
It exists.
Yeah, it exists, and that's the worst kind, I think.
Loved some of what Jack Antonoff has done and hated some of other. Like he, for fuck's sake, Reputation, man-made Reputation. But
He also made Melodrama, and he also made Mass Seduction. You know,
fucking Rockwell. So
yeah, he's got a career arc.
He also dated Lena Dunham for 5 years.
He was in Fun. You know.
Oof, ooh, no, Fun.
That's damning.
Yeah,
He was in Fun, which Fun had one good album. Their first one was fine, and the second one was horrible because they sold the fuck out.
I never liked any fun project. I get liking the first album, but to me, like listening to it a few years ago when I did, it just sounded so much like 2009 that I was just like, it's not really. It wasn't connecting.
Have you heard anything by The Format?
No.
Ooh, I don't think so.
That is. Like, I've never even heard the name.
Okay, so The Format is what Fun came from. And they were much more in the 90s, sort of early 2000s indie rock game. And it has some of the chamber pop influences that you get on the later stuff, but it's a lot more mixed with, you know, more traditional rock music. And they had a lot of lyrics that were kind of like some of the sassier kind of power pop, like Jellyfish and those kind of bands. You can get a lot of that from their stuff. And they actually had really good songwriting and none of the ridiculous sellout, you know, overproduced crap. And then they became fun and then things kind of went to hell. And that's all of that is like part of what led into that band. And so as it turns out, the lead singer of Fun ended up not really doing much, and then Antonoff ended up having the bigger and better career arc, even though it was not his choice to break up Fun. That was actually the lead singer's choice. So that's kind of how they went down.
Yeah, that I'm looking at that 2006 Format album, which my friends on the website that really like indie rock are into it, and my friends that do not like it. So that seems a pretty on brand.
Yeah, it's pretty on. I think it's great. Now, Antonoff wasn't in that band. Antonoff popped on with Fun, so you kind of see two different things. But it actually, the things I like a lot about Fun are on that album. And then with, later Fun, God, it just got really bad. And I don't know what Antonoff's part was in that band other than the production, which to me, I thought the production on that shit was terrible. Maybe I just find Antonoff really inconsistent.
I mean, I haven't looked at his discography production credits in a while, but I know that he's all over the place. He's done a lot of good stuff. He also was on that terrible Sia album.
Yeah, let's look at his credits.
Well, he was on. Well, he obviously, I think he broke off with 1989, like as a producer.
Yeah,
I feel like that was his breakthrough because then he did the Sia, then he did the Lord, he did Mass Education, he did Reputation.
The very I loved that album at first, and then I never really revisited it. But I think that Los Angeles is one of her best. Like, that's like an inconsistent album in itself. Like, it's a very, he made a Pink album. Ooh, that's not good.
he did a lot of Lover. Jesus.
Yeah, no, he did. I thought he did most of the Lover, the recent Taylor Swift.
Wait, what? He has so many. What? Look at all these credits he's got on Arizona, baby.
Yeah, Kevin.
He did the whole album.
Yeah, he did a lot of the Kevin album.
That album. I didn't like that album.
I like that album enough.
I don't think that was Antonoff. I didn't like Kevin that much on it. To be honest with
you.
Kevin's been mailing it in for a while. I think he spread himself too thin.
It was Great Value, Frank Ocean.
The lead single off of that album was really good though. Peach, right? I'm forgetting.
Yeah, that was a really good song, but
yeah.
So yeah, Taylor Swift owes his career to this guy. So sorry, fuck you, Jack. But thanks for Norman fucking Rockwell, though.
I love Mass Seduction, and I'm actually not a big melodrama guy, but I respect it.
Really, I really like that Lord album a lot.
That was cool. I don't listen to it much, but I appreciate the hell out of it, and I think it's a huge step up from Pure Heroin.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think Pure Heroin was good, but it was very.
I love Pure Heroin, but
I like Pure Heroin, but I think it's still kind of. If you listen to it now, you're like, oh, because you can listen to Pure Heroin and like, oh yeah, like half of every pop artist for the next few years is trying to do this. Like you're like, oh, okay, this is. I can hear the Lord all over this. Like if you listen to, I mean, if you listen to like some Taylor Swift, you're like, oh yeah, I can hear the Lord like in this.
You're saying Taylor Swift doesn't have her own ideas?
I'm not saying anything about Taylor Swift, all right?
Here's a hot take for you. Automatically in Love is what Taylor was trying to do on Reputation and failed fucking miserably. That's what I'm going to say. That song has that kind of industrial bang type of beat to it, while at the same time being actually catchy and effective.
Yeah, because, okay, here's a hot take I bet you didn't ever expect me to say, is that I think that Reputation wasn't a terrible idea. The execution was the worst possible execution of that idea. I don't think it was a terrible idea.
That's fair. Because it's like it wasn't something that Taylor had ever kind of played with before. I mean, Red a little bit, but not really.
The big problem was it was Kanye's idea first, and I think that's why she did it.
I don't like Kanye. Kanye's a dick. I'm going to make Yeezus and sell more than Yeezus. Look at me go, and she fucking failed.
Also, no one should be doing...
Gorgeous. For fuck's sake, she had a song on it in Gorgeous, and I'm pretty sure one song on there sounds like pretty similar to a song on Yeezus, too. Aside from the general, like, ooh, I'm making it...
Ready for It is...
Ready for It sounds
Ready for It has a Yeezus vibe, but then it turns into a Taylor song on the hook, and you're like, oh, this is actually... Well, this is not bad. And then it goes back to the verses. You're like, oh, this is terrible.
I mean, it's all terrible.
She should have made a song called I'm a God. No, I'm a Goddess. That would have been...
Wait. So that great. You don't think that was Look What You Made Me Do?
What a fucking terrible song.
It's a terrible song. You know what's funny is Endgame has Ed Sheeran rapping on it.
That's funny, yes. That is very funny.
You want to hear Ed Sheeran rap? It foreshadowed Ed Sheeran's rap career.
Yeah, you can throw that on
with
a song off the Eminem album.
Yeah.
Was it Travis Scott? Was it Travis Scott he had on his shitty collaboration album?
He had Travis Scott on his album, yeah.
It is lit. It's lit. Straight up.
Ed was like, "Yo, Travis, get in the studio and just say, do the ad libs, do the ad libs."
Do the ad lib. Do the ad lib. Dance on stage. Just dance for me. Dance for me, black man. Just dance.
Oh my god.
Okay.
What a piece of shit.
Oh god.
Yeah,
I will say,
Yo, Ed Sheeran actually had an album where he made a minstrel show. If you think about it, he bought.
Tell me more.
No, his collaboration album, right? Like he bought a bunch of black friends.
he did. He bought it because it wasn't just Travis. Didn't he have like A Boogie on his album or some other people? I don't even remember.
Right, fuck it. I'm looking this. I listened to this album. I can't even remember.
I did. Hold on. He had Cardi B.
Oh.
He had Stormzy. Young Thug was on the album. Meek Mill was on the album.
I told you.
50 Cent was on the album with Eminem.
Listening to me?
You know what's sad? This album's nowhere near as fun as that sounds.
No.
It's not. I tried. I was so excited. I'm like, oh, these are the worst features ever. I'm so down. And then, the Chris Stapleton song ends up making the most sense.
Oh, but it was a song called Blow. How much cocaine are you doing with Bruno Mars and Chris Stapleton?
Isn't this song about fucking groupies and stuff? Like, this is...
Oh, God.
Take Me Back to London featuring Stormzy. How fucking lazy can you get? Let's stick you on the song about London. It's not even about London, really. It's just, I just slapped London name on.
There was not... The thing about this album is there were so many like songs that were strategically designed to be hits, and there were no hits.
Yeah, there were no fun songs that would be hits.
This was the album that had the one with him and Justin Bieber being too sad to go to a party.
Yeah,
yes,
but that wasn't a hit. That didn't pop.
I don't care. You care, Ed. You fucking care. I know you care.
Shape of You is still the worst thing he's ever made, and that says a lot.
I'm in love with your body. This makes your balls shrivel.
That's up there with Your Body is a Wonderland and
Your Body's a Back Road.
Oh God, that one's the worst.
Song Clay Aiken made where it's like you peep through a bathroom like glory hole.
God, fucking Body is a Back Road is horrible.
You know that album just came out this year?
Yes, I listened to it.
What the fuck?
I listened to like 70% of it, and it was.
That song is like 100 years old. Why is it coming out?
That's one of my least favorite bro country songs ever, which says a lot.
I don't think I'm familiar with this song. Your Body is a Back Road.
Sam Hunt.
It's Sam. It's like
time for Patrick to learn something.
Yeah, I get it. It's like the hook is so fuck. It's like body like a back road, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
It's just like mudding, just getting the tires real deep in the mud and flying it all around and thinking about shooting people. Yeah, it's just like that.
Big Luke Bryan energy, I tell you.
Sam Hunt, body. I remember that Wonky Dude 98 really hates Sam Hunt, whoever this guy is. So shout out Wonky Dude 98.
It makes you want to smash a fucking solo cup in my head,
Oh yeah. I'm out in the sunshine. I wish I had a red Solo cup right now. Some Busch Light. Oh yeah. You said you listened to this album?
I listened to I skimmed about 80% of it and slapped one song.
What you're about now, that bro country life?
Oh, I'm gonna listen to this album. It's not that long, that's why.
There was some artificial controversy about some publications giving it like decent scores, which is dumb shit. RYM's terrible.
This isn't funny. Like I thought this was gonna have like a rap verse on it or something.
No, it's just dull and shitty.
Yeah, this isn't funny. I can't even make fun of this. It's like really, really boring. Like it's popular, I guess. Sure that's
what bro country is to me. It's just really, really boring shit. Like Florida Georgia Line, you can make fun of a lot of their big singles, but most of their stuff's boring. Like bro country is just boring. Luke Bryan's boring. These guys are all it's the same shit. I gotta hear about your souped up fucking Dodge Ram one more time, like, just swear
The
to
only
God.
thing I know about Luke Bryan is I saw somebody around here with a shirt on that was for a Luke Bryan tour, the People Like Us tour. And it's like, oh, that's not problematic at all. It had a Confederate flag style theme on it.
Big, we're not all.
Clan energy, you know.
It's big, not all of us are like that energy. You're just some guys want a Confederate flag, but I'm not like the other ones, I promise.